Hi everyone, it's been a long while, isn't it? Welcome back if you haven't seen me for a long time. I don't think anyone new is gonna click on this video, but I just wanted to do a life update of what's been happening in my life, considering I haven't uploaded in almost more than a year. Lots of things have happened, and so I'm currently in Hong Kong right now, no longer in London, and I just wanted to give you guys a bit of an update about what has happened. So anyways, let's get on to the video. I know the last time I've uploaded, I was in a very different chapter of my life. I was sort of, hustling, grinding my life away to starting a business and also, looking for clients and stuff like that. So a lot of stuff has really changed. I think that was in January of 2024, and basically, long story short, January of 2024, I got really sick. I fell into really deep depression, and essentially that was what happened, and now I'm focused on recovery. So that's sort of like a short version of what happened to me, and if that's enough for you, that's totally okay. For the rest of the video, I'm just gonna go more in depth and sort of my thoughts and feelings for, the whole thing. So yeah. So I just wanted to give more context on things that has happened, so for those who are interested, they can get a full understanding of what has happened. And I think for me also, it's less so for people who really want to know what happened, but also for me to kind of have like an outlet, and also for me to fully process what has happened. It's almost like for myself to have this kind of life update as well. So that's where I'm coming from, essentially. So the reason I started the channel was I started even before I posted my first video. I posted videos of my first and second year on YouTube, like just vlogs, really badly edited vlogs on YouTube, just because I wanted to share my life overseas in the UK with my friends and family, mostly my parents, just so they could know what was happening overseas while I was studying there. And it sort of gives us like a bit of a bridge almost, like, so they know what's going on in my life, and we can have a bit of more of a conversation starter for us to talk about things. We have a special guest today, Mercy, my little lovely. She's gonna be joining us. And so I posted that for 2 years, and those videos are all private. And then after that, I thought, I'm putting all this effort into editing videos, and I feel like some of this information can really benefit people who want to go into Bartlett, study architecture, think about making a portfolio. So I thought, I want to share my art. I want to share about, things that have been going on in my life. So I thought, why not just make it official and public in year 3, in my last year, and just, share my stuff with people. And I think a lot of people were really happy because a lot of this type of content wasn't really available online anyways. So I was really happy to be a part of that circle where, information isn't readily available, and I didn't want people to go through the same hiccups as I did when I went to apply for school. And so that was a really happy year of my life, being on YouTube and going through university as well. But shortly after graduating, you're sort of like plunged into the reality of I need to find a job. And I sort of knew that I didn't really want to go into corporate architecture anyways, but I felt like that was the right path. So I thought I'd just go for it and see what happens. I did all the right things. I got all the good grades. I did everything I could. I got a good portfolio. I went to interview with like prestigious firms, and I thought, that was what I was supposed to do. And yeah, I got into a really huge firm, center of Covent Garden, and it was a really good life and pay, and I think it was great. But then as you all know, who has been watching the channel, that I really didn't like that job, and shortly I left. And then I think during that time, it was also when the reality of the bubble of reality hit me. Like, when you're sort of in school or uni, you have this bubble surrounding you, and you have people around you looking out for you. But when you start working, it's like things change. You have to earn money, you have to look after yourself, be independent, be an adult. There's taxes, there's all these things, and I think I struggled with that maybe a little bit. I think also I got so used to being good at school that working a job, it was just very different to how I was, functioning in school. And so when I really hated that job, I was really desperate to look for a way out. There were like countless days and nights of crying and trying to figure out my purpose, and things were just really tough, to be honest. During that time, I got into business and I thought about, going into sales, and yeah, I made the jump. I worked for a really huge YouTuber and did sales, and I really enjoyed that job, but I really challenged myself. But I think in that environment, there wasn't space for me in that environment. So I had to leave again. And that time I thought, I would start my own business, and because people online, like, if they could do it, like, why can't I do it? I always had that mindset, like, if other people has done it, that's just proof that I can do it as well. And I always had that mindset in me, and so I just took the leap and did it, because in my early 20s, like, what's there to lose? She keeps leaving this room. Can you just stay here, please? Can you just stay here? Can you? And yeah, and so I kept pushing. I kept trying to look for new clients and stuff like that. And all this time I was also looking for inspiration online, and a lot of sort of these business gurus were like, as long as you don't give up, then there's nothing you can't achieve. And I agree with that. So I thought, I wouldn't give up until like my body gave up on me. So during that time of starting my own business, I was very determined. I was very, every day I worked for, I don't know, like 12 hours. I kept trying to find ways to look for new clients. I pitched my services to business owners who were in their 40s and 50s and 60s in London. And it was obviously very scary. And to this day, I think I very much am still very proud of like my bravery and like how courageous I was. Just all the things I've done, to be honest. I think like during those months, I worked very hard. I joined a community of other young entrepreneurs in London, and socialized, and I made new friends, and I was very proud. But I think throughout that, maybe I worked myself too hard, or the expectations I've set upon myself were just too much, because to me, almost the new getting the top grades were earning money. And for someone like, I have a very overachiever personality, and ever since I was young, even in primary, secondary, and university, I'm just always the person to get top grades and do the best I can at school. And that was sort of the image that people had of me in their heads, and that was also the image I attached to myself. Like if another person asked me like what type of person you are, that's the image I would tell other people, because that's what other people told me how they saw me. And I think for that, I don't know, it's sort of like living for other people's expectations almost, in a way, even though I also thought it was for myself. So after I graduated, it was almost like I need to make up for that same persona and image that I had. And so obviously the new way of doing this is get the best job or earn the most money as I can. And yeah, there was a time where I made a lot of money, but I really don't know, I'm at a loss for words right now, because thinking back, I think that time was really crazy, and I have a lot of like emotions and feelings inside of me regarding that time, and I'm still processing it in a way. So yeah, moving on. In January 2024, my body sort of gave up on me, alongside the expectations, alongside what I wanted to achieve in my life, and essentially my health declined. I have a history of very, very itchy skin. That resurfaced, and my depression really hit me. I have a history of depression when I was 16 in secondary school, when something very traumatic happened to me. And that time was very tough for me, and the same thing resurfaced, but it was a lot worse this time. And so essentially I just fell into a very, very deep depression. So trigger warning for people, please skip to this timestamp so you don't have to go through very like detailed like explanations of what happened to me during this time. So during January, like, it was very, very tough. I could not get out of bed. I couldn't do anything, like going from a person who works 12-hour days and constantly on their computer working, jumping on calls, sales calls, and trying to pitch people my services and seem very confident and know what she's talking about, I became this slug that slept on her bed for like hours on end. For someone who woke up at 6, goes to the gym and starts working immediately, I could not sleep. I couldn't sleep. I would sleep at like 3 or 4 a.m. I wake up at 10 or 12 in the afternoon. And for the whole day, I would just be in bed and I could not get up. I couldn't sleep because I kept crying and I was just hopeless and I had no hope for the future, and I felt like everything I did was a failure. And it's like that whole trope of like feeling very worthless and nothing you did really mattered. And it was very tough, and during the nights I would cry for hours on end and also just think about like dying, and I would self-harm for hours as well while crying, like cutting myself, and also thinking about suicide and having a lot of suicidal thoughts. And it was very, very, very bad. I remember one day when like I could not do anything. I couldn't even leave the house to get groceries, and I think for people who has gone through depression is very relatable, but for those who hasn't, I think it's a very difficult thing to understand. Like, you wake up and you just go down, it's very close to the supermarket, but I really could not even step out of the flat and go out and get groceries, and it was very, I felt like I was almost drowning. And I remember going on Deliveroo to deliver my meals, I think 2 times that day, and when I look back at my screen time, I spent 3 hours on Deliveroo on the app, and I was like, what was I doing on the app for so long? But like every day it's like a haze, and it's just crazy. So in February 2024, so Chinese New Year, I came back to Hong Kong because I was visiting my relatives for the new year and also spending time with my parents and my family. And I think my parents didn't really understand the severity of like my condition back then. Like, they probably thought I was just in a rut or I was really sad and that was it. But like, they could see like how bad my situation was, and so they were saying like, why don't you like go back when you feel a little bit better, because I was working for myself anyways. I was like self-employed, so it wasn't really a big deal if I didn't show up to work or like the office for a while. So I thought, yeah, okay, I can just work remotely, it's okay. I can just stay up late at night because of 8-hour difference in the UK, that's fine. And so that's what I did, and my mom like relentlessly helped me search for, you know, doctors and like healers and people who could help me, which I am very, very grateful for. Like, I think my mom has been such a pivotal figure in me recovering, and it's been a lot. And so, you know, throughout the months, March, April, I've been just under treatment, and I think even during those times I was still in a very, very bad condition. Like, for the whole month of March, I think I just stayed in bed almost, because I could not just get up and do anything. I couldn't reply my friends on WhatsApp. I like skipped calls, and I just couldn't do anything. And I think if you knew me, even through my like past YouTube videos, you could see how much of a workaholic I was and how much I love working and even creating content and doing these things. And like, I couldn't even get out of bed. Like, I couldn't even reply to friends on WhatsApp. So how could I even do work or like record videos? Like, I couldn't, and I couldn't really accept the person that I've become. Like, I was unrecognizable, and I didn't want to see anyone. I didn't even ask to meet up with my friends in Hong Kong because I didn't even want to see anyone. So it was a very, very tough time for me in March, and I felt bad. I kept telling my friends I was going to be back in London in April, and April came, I couldn't make it. I said I'll be back in June. June came and I didn't make it. I said I'll be back in July. July came, I couldn't make it, and I just kind of stopped because I had this thought where I was like, I'll be better by April. I'll be better by June. Like, it's been a couple of months. Like, surely depression is gonna go away. And I think for those who have experienced the same like symptoms, like, you know, it's like a year. Like, you calculate the time of getting better by years and not months, and it's a long battle, like, for sure. So throughout the months, I went to the hospital and like had treatments, and I'm like in contact with a lot of social workers. I go to the Samaritans, and it's been very helpful. I went to group therapy and just all these things. And I know some people might think like depression is not a real thing, and I think I used to tell myself that when I'm really depressed, because I just tell myself I'm just being lazy. I just need to pull myself together and get out of bed and do my things like I've always done. But I couldn't. And it's very hard to accept that, I think, for someone who's such a perfectionist. It's very hard. And I think the time that was the worst for me was definitely August. I think I had a really minor like argument with my mom, and that really triggered me into, I think I removed the window railings of my room, the window in my room, and that really scared my mom because she really thought I was gonna jump and commit suicide and kill myself. She really thought I was gonna do it, and I told her I was not gonna do it. Like, I knew for like throughout my life I was never ever gonna commit suicide, because I just think the suffering you inflict on other people are too big, and I really don't want that to happen. Like, I think about my parents, my family, even my dog Mercy. I never want to inflict that pain on them, and so like that's what's really stopping me. But I still remove the window railing because I really want to feel that feeling of being as close to death as possible, like sort of like that feeling of just one moment later you could end everything. I don't know if this relates to anyone. It's very, very dark thoughts that people have, but I guess that's just part of human nature. But yeah, that really scared my mom, and she called emergency services, and I was placed in the hospital the next day, which is one of a lifetime experience. But I'm glad that happened. That was almost like hitting the rock bottom for me, and I sort of had an epiphany where I was like, I need to really get my shit together and get better. Easier said than done, but I promise I wouldn't do crazy stuff like that anymore. So yeah, on that way I've still been on recovery. In September I went back to London to pack my stuff and sort of just accept that that chapter of my life is over. My visa also expired in November, so basically expired now, and I think I also have to accept the fact that I'm gonna be living in Hong Kong for a while long term. And I think that has been something that's really difficult for me to accept. Like, it's a very hard pill to swallow because I love my life in the UK and I loved living in London and working for myself, being independent, living for myself, and just hanging out with my friends and just doing whatever I wanted. But I think I'm still learning, and I'm still accepting and surrendering to the fact that everything happens for a reason. And if the universe decided this is time for me to be in Hong Kong for a while, then I'll accept it. I think I try to see it as spending more time with parents, doing things that I love, and I'm really grateful this time. I also wanted to acknowledge the fact that I'm very grateful for my privilege and being able to just still sleep in a nice place, doing things that I love, going traveling despite being really sick. And I acknowledge that's definitely a privilege. Like, there are some people who have mental illnesses and they still have to go to work, they still have to pay the bills, but I'm currently not working. And so I really acknowledge that, and I'm very, very grateful for that. And I know not everyone has the same circumstances as me, so I just really want to put that out there. But I also want people to know that just because you have certain things that other people don't have doesn't mean your problems or feelings aren't valid. Like, you still need to accept that this is an issue within you. And I think even getting a diagnosis of depression is a privilege, because depression affects everyone. Like, you could be really wealthy, you could be not as wealthy, like you can have different financial backgrounds, you can have different ages, different careers, it's all very different. So, but it affects everyone. But not everyone has the means or resources to get access to something that gives them a diagnosis. So I fully acknowledge that as well. And yeah, it's really tough world out there. And I think that's something I noticed after graduation. I think that's just the reality of things, how things are. So yeah, that's sort of an update from my end. Things are very, very tough. I thought about going to do a master's and stuff like that, but for now I think I'll just stay here for a while. And I think moving forward, I thought about recording videos, shorts. I think that's something I want to do. And I think even for the future of the channel, I know not a lot of people are gonna watch this video, which is fine because it's kind of mostly for myself as well. and I really wanted to upload more shorts. And I think also, like, I don't really, at this point, the numbers doesn't really matter to me. I think it's more so about doing something that fulfills me, and just being happy. Like, I can upload videos about really stupid things, and I think that's fine. It doesn't have to always be really intellectual and academic, and it's okay. It can be really casual. I could just be, getting ready and like having an outfit, doing some makeup, going through Hong Kong, exploring the culture. I think it's okay, and I think if people who subscribed previously doesn't like those things, that's also fine. I just really want to have a new chapter where I'm just doing things for myself, and I think that's okay as well, because I think after going to the Samaritans, because of that, what happened, the window and my mom getting scared, I got being connected to the Samaritans, and they, like, the social worker that I spoke to really gave me sort of I learned a lot of new things when I spoke to her, and one thing she mentioned was the way I saw myself was always how other people perceived me. And for most of my life, like, I think I was always living for other people, and I think that's such a normal or cliche thing that you hear all the time, that other people say, like, I've been living for other people, not for myself. But I never really applied that to myself, because I always thought that was what I wanted, until I really took a deep dive and thought, like, what was it that I really want? Like, did I do that job because that's what society says, or did I do X because I really wanted to do that, or did I start a business because people online were saying this? Because I think social media really played a huge part in influencing people and saying, like, oh, you don't like your job, like, you don't work a 9 to 5, like, do your own thing. And I think for some people that works, and some people it doesn't. Like, not everything is tailored towards you. And I think that's also something that I had to learn. Like, that's how the industry works, right? Like, usually someone who says, okay, don't work a 9 to 5, like, do, like, entrepreneur, start a business, do this, usually they have something to sell you. So that's what I'm trying to get at, is like, stuff that people say online doesn't really match up to reality and what you think you should do with your life. Like, I feel like you can have a completely different outlook, and it's fine. For example, if in your life you just want to go to the forest and build a little wooden cabin and just live there, be self-sufficient, hunt for food, and do whatever, I think that's fine. I think that's sort of almost like going against the grain, and I think that's actually really difficult, like, compared to like living in the city and being in a modern society. I think going build a cabin, it's really hard, but that doesn't mean that person is less valuable than people who are a business owner of like 5,000 employees. Like, it's a very different life, and I think it's just how you want to live your life. Doesn't mean one person is better than the other. I think it's just our world or our society just tends to glamorize those who earn a lot of money, have a lot of status, and I think you can just do whatever you want in your life. If you want to paint like me, and I like painting, just paint. If you like to do, obviously easier said than done, especially if it's your own life and you feel conformed to society standards. I still feel it. Like, I still think I should go back to work and continue what I've like done, but I don't really know. And I think the message of this video is just live your life, do whatever makes you happy. It's okay to prioritize yourself for a while, and yeah. And I think that's just sort of the message I wanted to talk about, and just fill everyone in, and also to do it for myself, to know what has happened during these months, and also for the future. I want to come back, I want to make content. I think that's something that makes me very happy, and I like talking to a camera. I like sharing parts of my life with you, and just having fun. And I think just making some silly videos about my culture, and also with my mom, my family, with Mercy, and I think it's really nice. So yeah, that was the video. Thank you if you've watched up till this point. I really appreciate it. She keeps scratching her bed, so I had to bring her up. So thank you so much for watching, and I will see you all in the next video when I upload them. And yeah, thank you so much. Here's the heart, and Mercy, say goodbye. You say goodbye.